Both the classes you judge today are going to be on for reproduction purposes. They're going to be heifers. So you're judging kind of the combination of meat, muscle, and also conformation. Real similar to everything that we've looked at so far. It doesn't matter what species it is. If you're looking for muscle or evidence of muscle, you're going to look for width between the front legs and the rear legs. Especially with cattle, you can really tell as they're walking away from you. You can get a really good view of them. Again, stifle to stifle from behind all the way around and see how much muscle they have in those rear quarters. With cattle, you'll see a lot of them, they'll taper off in the lower 1/2 to 1/3 of the rear leg. That's obviously a case where they don't have as much muscle. You want to see a big wide top from the ribs back over the loin. By far and away, every species that we look at, the loin is the key. The loin is the largest muscle in their body. It's going to be the best predictor of how much muscle they've got in their whole body. So if you get one that's really wide in the top, you're going to have a pretty good evidence of muscle down through the leg and up through the shoulder as well. But the loin and the rear quarter, rear leg, is where they're going to put most of their money into in terms of producing beef. So you want them wide in the top, wide between the rear legs and the front legs. You want them to have a lot of width from behind. Those are your characteristics of muscle. Now in cattle, I mean, you can make some arguable points here. One that certainly is worth mentioning is depth of body. All of these are going to be producing offspring, hopefully. That's the idea anyway, as a commercial heifer class. So you want to look at them from the top of the shoulders, or basically the back, the loin, to the bottom of the body depth, what we call body capacity, and you want some that have the greatest amount of depth. But you never would place them just on depth alone. You want to combine the depth of body with the width of top, with the width when viewed from behind, and fullness. Really, as you look at the legs, look and compare these two right here. I'm not going to place them for you, but look and compare them, the lower, really from lower half of the leg down on those two. Can you tell a difference? Can you see that one has just a lot more expression of muscle? Those are really good evidence. That's really good evidence of muscling, and good comparisons you want to make there.
I thought 4 had the bigger legs. Does 4 have
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. More muscle in 4 than 2 in the leg. We'll say that anyway. I'm not going to tell you too much about the class, but you want level tops. Again, why do we want a level top in everything that we judge?
But that means they got muscle, so they can hold the top.
It means they've got a fairly large loin muscle. The loin muscle is going to allow that top line to be relatively level. You want them to be straight out the hip. In cattle, you've got to be a little bit concerned about legs, feet and legs. You'll see more of a problem in some of these than others. You don't want too much set to the hock. The hock, we're talking about basically right in this region, lower half the leg. You don't want to have too much set to the hock, or they'll really kick the rear legs underneath them. It'll affect the way they move off of their rear legs. Circumference of bone, how big bone they are. It's an important trait that we want to look at as well. You want to look at structure, but you'd have to have something that's really ill structured, that's really not moving well to really jeopardize them a great deal in a class, even in a heifer class. So you'd have to have something that was moving really awkwardly, or really stiff, or too straight on the rear legs, or just way too much angle to the hock to be able to criticize it very much. But the two main things you're going to look for is depth of body, and you can talk about it from depth up to the heart girth. The heart's going to be up here in the front chest, so depth in the heart girth, and then depth back through the ribs. Those are going to be the major characteristics you look for. You can mention things like masculinity or femininity. If you have one that has in heifers, if you have one that has a really big head, a real broad head, broad jaws, kind of a short nose, they're going to tend to look a little bit more masculine. And it's not something that you're going to worry about really in terms of, is that really going to affect their production? But it is something you want to be concerned about in terms of, is that going to be, is that something that looks as feminine? So you can mention that some are more masculine headed, some are more feminine headed. This heifer that's looking at us right here, comparatively, really broad across the head, has a little bit of a less feminine look to her. Typically, if you have some that have really angled noses, really kind of pointy up front, they're going to have a little more of a feminine look. There's nothing reproductive that really affects, though. It's just a matter of visual appeal. Got it? Muscle and depth.
Run them around.
We're going to. Muscle and depth are the two major things. You ready? All right.